Hi everyone. So I'm sorry the last video ended up kind of abruptly because I ran out of time, but now what I'm showing you is still Dogon, one more video on Dogon, and this is a lidded bowl. So this section actually comes off, and then there is a space in here that is used to put different things in, food that would be used when a person is being initiated into become the Hogan, which again is the spiritual leader of the village. And so the imagery on this then, relates to the Hogan. So the person here that's shown on the horse is representing the first Hogan. And remember that if you're on a horse or you see the person on a horse, then that person is going to be really powerful. We remember also that horses are not native to Africa, that they are imported originally by the Arabs. There's another person here. And then these people down here, or these figures, they are representing the 8-seated pre-human figures. So it's kind of going back into their mythology of creation. And then on the bottom, we have 2 horses. And as you've seen for a lot of the Dogon art that I'm showing you, it's carved out of wood. I actually really like Dogon art. I think it's really beautiful, and it has a lot of metaphors in it and in the meaning, which I like very much. This is dated, you see, somewhere between the 16th and the 20th century. The next thing I'm showing you is made out of iron, and iron is very, very difficult to work with. It's a very hard metal. So this might be one of the reasons why it's very simplified here and very thin in the metal pieces. And you might ask, like, well, what animal is this? I can't answer that, but my interpretation of it would be something like a lion, because it has the tail and the body and a head and longer legs. You might, though, see something else, and that's fine. This dates to the earliest 20th century. So we know that the Dogon, they're carving wood, and they also are quite sophisticated with their knowledge of metalwork. Next, we're going to look at some of their architecture, and they have some pretty amazing architecture. Once again, it has a lot of metaphor embedded into it. So now what I'm showing you is a Binyu sanctuary for lineage ancestors, and the Binyu and their priests maintain the balance between the supernatural world and the present world. Itself is divided into 2 realms of untamed nature and human culture. So the untamed nature are all the organic kind of curved lines, and then the tamed part of it, human culture part of it, are the straight geometric kind of lines, the checkerboard pattern. You'll also notice that the whole front of it is very anthropomorphic, in that it looks like a face. So the next thing I'm going to show you is Gina. And the Gina can be seen as representing order and wisdom. And so you see how it's gridded, it's like straight lines. So anything we're seeing with all these straight lines is representing human order, things are in line where they're supposed to be. And then everything that is curved or, not straight is representing like the untamed natural world. So in this structure, we have a large family dwelling that is reserved for the spiritual leader of the community, so for the Hogan. And it has numerous rectangular niches that create a gridded pattern on the facade like this. So again, the Hogan is the person that's giving order, spiritual order to the village. So although they don't have like a king, so say, or one person in charge, the Hogan is really giving, advice and everything to the people. Now, the next thing I'm showing you is, I think, really cool. This is a togana. And a togana is a really important structure. You can't stand up in it. You can sit under it. In fact, you see some people here. You see some people here, so you kind of get a size reference. And they do have one of these at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You can see the size of it. So it's made out of wood beams going across, and then these carved wood pillars, I guess we would call. And then across the top is wood and then natural material like mud and grass and stuff. And the idea is that the men will come together in the village to discuss and debate ideas. But because you can't stand up when you're in this structure, you can't really get into too heated argument, because you can't get into like a fist fight or anything. So it's a way of trying to keep order when people are disagreeing about something. Now, this is an older one that I'm showing you, and you'll notice that these are carved figures, right? And it's one figure per structure here, pillar, right? And here we have one with the arms raised. So hopefully you're remembering that the arms raised like this is symbolizing rain, right? So they're, again, these ideas that we see numerous times in the art. And then we go to a more modern version of this, which is really interesting because now we don't have one figure on each of these pillars. Instead, we have stories that are being told. And if we look at this one, we see some modern influences coming into the story or the imagery that's being used here. One, he's holding a gun, right? And then we have the star and the moon. If you don't know, this is going to represent Islam, right? So, and we also have it painted. So it's painted bright colors, and they're imported oil paints. So we're seeing a Western influence within the oil paint that is being used. This one over here has writing in it, and then it is divided up into, if you remember the very beginning of the semester, I talked about this, what we would call registers, so that within each of these is part of a story. So it's very, very different how it has changed since colonization and since Western influence, but the way it is used is still the same. So they still have these within the Dogon communities. They still have them as a way to discuss and debate ideas. Now, the next thing is the masquerade. I must say, across all of Africa, Dogon masks are my favorite. They're really, really amazing masks. And I can't imagine dancing them. They would be very difficult to dance. And I do have some links here of actual Dogon ceremonies that were recorded, so you can see how some of these masks are danced. And I think it's, you know, it's just better than watching or looking at a still image. And the masks are representing different animal characteristics. So one's like representing an antelope, and one is representing a giraffe, and so on. And the Dogon masks play an important role in an event called the Dama. The Dama is a masquerade which is a funerary memorial rite. It takes place for 6 days every 13 years. The Dama creates a path to the supernatural world for the souls or the spirits of those who have died since the last Dama. And so it's like they bring the spirits into the afterlife. We have 78 different masks. That's a lot of masks. And then every 60 years, they have like this huge masquerade that commemorates the first death. They also have the masquerades being performed by a powerful group called Awa, which includes most men. Very few female dance this masquerade because they believe that since this is related to death, that women shouldn't dance this masquerade because they're able to give birth, and that's life. And if you mix up like the spiritual power that women have of giving birth with the power and the spirits of death and the ancestors, something terrible is going to happen. So these are usually in Awa, it's men. Awa is then led by elders. Awa has a 30 to 50 foot tall great mask called the mother mask. And that's what I'm showing you here in this image. And they dance this by putting their head down like this and then back up. It must be so difficult. The mask, this one, the great mother mask, it commemorates the first death of in the Dogon culture and recounts in legend. It's like telling the story of it. And then women are represented in the masks, and that's how they get to participate. And then they actually take care of the masks between the different masquerades. This is a specific type of mask called the Yasing. There are a few members of Awa that stand for the collective women who, in the origin story, their like creation myth, first discovered the masks. This occurred in the primordial time before men took over the privilege for themselves exclusively, bearing all women except Yasing from contact with masks or the mask societies. But you see here, this is an abstracted one, but you have a woman here. Here are her breasts, her arms are upraised, and her head, and then her legs. And so in the next image, I think I have, yes. So this is an example of it and how it's danced in. So it's on top of the mask on the head. And then this is the way the women are allowed to partake in the masquerade, is through the representation of the woman. And it's almost like the women are too important because they are able to give birth to be able to take a role in this. It's not that they're excluded because they're, not as important. All right, so I'm going to end the video here, and we'll pick this up in the next video with the centerfold.